everyone, welcome one and all to episode 115 of A Stitch in Time. Today is Tuesday, September 24th, 2019. My name's Carol. I'm known as Knitsnpurls on Ravelry, and I am coming to you from my home in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, where we have some sunshine at the moment. It's particularly welcome because we haven't seen much of the sun for the last few days, so we'll enjoy it while we can, and hopefully it helps give some good light to the podcast today. I have to chuckle. I have this inkling to do this. The little screws that attach my flip-up screen to my camera have come out and need replacing, but meanwhile I have it taped in place, but it slipped, and so my screen is looking a little like this, even though I've lined it up to be straight with this. So if you see me like doing this, you'll know what that is. It's just a funny feeling. I feel like I'm a little off kilter. Well, you know, more than usual. So I'm recording a little bit later today than I'd planned, but it was totally worth it. I was looking after my younger granddaughter this morning while my older granddaughter was getting her braces off. So as you can imagine, she was very excited to see them come off, and now she has this beautiful straight white smile. And also had a really good time with Emily here. I swear every time I see her, she just seems a little older, a little more mature. So we had a really nice morning together. Just trying to think. Well, I got lots of knitting to talk about. I actually have technically 3 finished projects. Of course, I always have works in progress. I'll talk a little bit about what is upcoming also, and a little bit about what's going on around here this week. But first of all, I want to talk about Elsa. So a few things about Elsa. Elsa is my new sock design. I showed it off last week for the first time. If you missed that episode, you can see it has a twisted rib cuff, this really pretty swirly lace design, traditional heel flap and gusset, and a rounded toe. And what I didn't say last week is that don't let this lace pattern intimidate you. It is actually very simple, easily memorizable. And so if you haven't much experience with knitting pattern socks before, this would definitely be something that you would be very capable of knitting. I'm confident in that. So a couple of things. First things first, this pattern is available on Ravelry and also in my Etsy shop, which is Serenity Designs. And last week I announced that there was a coupon code on Ravelry where you could get $2 off the purchase price. And then I had a viewer asking me if there was a coupon code for Etsy, and I am brand new at Etsy. I had no idea that that was even possible, and so I put one in place right away. And what I've decided to do is extend the coupon code on both platforms, both shops, for another week. So from now until next Tuesday, you can receive $2 off the purchase of this pattern. In Ravelry, sorry, they're slightly different. In Ravelry, put stitch in lowercase letters, and on Etsy, put stitch in capital letters. And do that before you check out, and that will give you $2 off the purchase price. Launching my new sock was not without its hiccups. I had Etsy, for some reason, was very slow processing payments, and took several days until payments went through and people were able to download the pattern. So I hope it's fixed. My understanding is that usually it's more or less instantaneous. I have no control over that part of things, so just a heads up, if you do purchase this through Etsy, don't be alarmed if your purchase doesn't go through right away, it should eventually, and if it doesn't within 2 or 3 days, I will definitely look into it and see what I can do about it. As a shop owner, you don't have, I've learned, much control over the payments. We don't see any of the payment information as it should be. But I also don't have the ability to cancel an order until a payment's been processed, or anything like issue a refund, anything like that. So just a heads up there. So of course I want to say a huge thank you to all of you who did purchase the pattern. It was so exciting. Thank you, thank you. I really look forward to seeing them knit up. And also just those of you who reached out with congratulatory greetings on me publishing my first pattern. I just thank you so much for your support and encouragement. Really made my week, definitely. And now I'm going to announce, had a Elsa giveaway in the Ravelry group. So just before I recorded, I closed the thread and used random number generator to pick 2 winners. And the first winner is number 8, Angelic Embers, who is Nicole from New Jersey. So Nicole, I'll let you contact me. I don't want to ruin the surprise. I think it's kind of fun when you get your name announced during the podcast and you get to see it as a surprise. So just let me know that you know you've won, and I will gift that pattern into your Ravelry inbox. And the other winner was number 6, Chels NZ. I always say, Canada we say Z, not Z, but when I say C and Z together, that's how I want to pronounce it. Anyway, that's Shell from Manawatu, New Zealand. So same goes for you, Shell. So congratulations both to Nicole and Shell on winning a copy of this sock pattern. I hope you like it. And if any of you are interested in joining our Elsa Knit Along, go and visit the A Stitch in Time podcast Ravelry group. There's a chatter thread and a FO thread there, and the CAL will be running till the end of November. Check out the first post in the chatter thread for the rules. And I don't have prizes posted yet, but what I am going to do is make a sock knitting bag out of this sock fabric, and it has this coordinating yellow and blue fabric, so some combination of these will be made into 2 sock bags. I will draw 1 name from each of the chatter and FO threads. So by all means, come by, chat about it as much as you like, and then post your finished pair of socks in the FO thread. Yes, you have to knit both to make it count as an FO. So I hope lots of you will come and join us there. So yeah, once again, thank you so much for all of your support this past week. And if you have any issues, don't hesitate to get in contact with me, and I'll walk you through any difficulties. Hopefully no mistakes. Haven't heard about any yet, so that's a good sign. Okay, let's talk about finished projects. But first, I'm actually going to take a sip of my tea here. Last week I had made a gingerbread tea into a chai latte, and this week I have maple chai that I've done the same with. And this was a little sample I got in my shipment from David's Tea that I received this week, and it's quite good too. So as I feared, the pumpkin or the gingerbread tea that I had received on my shipment before this one is discontinued. So I'm sorry I didn't order more of it, but the maple chai is pretty good too. And I really do like turning chai or spicy teas into lattes. I like the creaminess of the milk with the spicy flavor, and it's also a good way for me to get some milk because I don't really like to drink milk straight, and unless I put it in a smoothie or a bowl of cereal, I don't drink it. So it's a good way for me to get my calcium. I'm just looking around for labels, but I realized I don't have them for this yarn. That's okay. First finished project of the week are my felted clogs. I was working on I think I finished the first one, or almost finished the first one last week, and then my feet were getting cold, so I went ahead and quite quickly finished up the second one and then felted them. So this sole yarn is Peyton's Classic Wool in the dark gray mix colorway, and the tops, the uppers are Cascade 220, 2426 is the number, and they've called it Cherry. Now, if you've watched for a while, you know that I've kind of lamented not having a top loader anymore to felt my slippers. We got a front loader a few years ago when our washing machine died, and I really miss it at times like this. Other than that, I really like the front loader. But you can see on the top that the stitches haven't all disappeared. On the other hand, that did a very good job of felting the classic wool. And I have learned over the years that I prefer the Peyton's Classic Wool for felting. I find that it definitely does produce the best results, because ideally the stitches are supposed to disappear. You're not supposed to see where they were. Now, I don't have any suede soles on it yet. I'm out. So I actually placed an order. You can get them at Knitpurls, and I placed an order with them yesterday, I think it was. So hopefully soon that they will arrive and I can complete these. And normally I try not to wear the slippers until I actually have the soles on them, partly because they help you not slip so much, and partly because it helps preserve the fabric. Otherwise you get holes. But you know, my feet have been cold, and they were dry by yesterday, I guess it was. And I started wearing them yesterday afternoon, and right now my toes are cold too, so I am going to put these right back on my feet where they were up until recording time, and hopefully they won't get too fuzzy or get too much lint or hair or whatever on them before my soles arrive, because I really do miss having felted slippers to wear. So I'm just gonna stick those on my feet right now. I'm really pleased actually with how they felted as far as the size goes. Sometimes I goof up and make them just a little bit too small, but these are just the perfect size for my feet. I knit the ladies small of a 6.5 US Canada size shoe, I guess I should say, or that's what I wear. The other finished project I have is my rock pooling shawl. And it has a happy ending. I actually really like it now that it's all done and blocked. First I'll give you just a real quick look at it in its, well, I can't show it to you in its entirety because it is rather large. Here, let's see if I can get that much in this thing. There we go. This shawl's given me a lot of problems, not because there's anything wrong with the pattern. I just really struggled with the choice of yarn colors for this shawl. My original idea was I would do a gradation of grays, but I found with the yarns that I chose there just wasn't enough contrast between them, and where all the design area was just getting lost. And so eventually I settled on this multicolored, variegated first yarn, base yarn, main color. I don't know what to call it. Color A, color 1. Anyway, all the yarns are Black Cat Custom yarn, double. This is superwash merino wool. So this one is called Hoth, which is a planet from Star Wars, apparently. This turquoise is called Frost Nova, and this dark gray is Stainless. And I had second thoughts. I wasn't sure. I was trying to pick up the turquoise that runs throughout this Hoth colorway, and in contrast, this turquoise seemed too bright, and I tried to tone it down by using it as kind of the background color in the pattern section, and I thought also that the dark gray would help tone it down, and I do feel like I did achieve that result. And actually, I think now that it's all done and blocked and such, the colors do complement each other well, and I think it looks good. I'm gonna see if I can hold it up. There we go. That gives you a really good look at how it all goes together. I can see through it. There we go. It's a nice size shawl. Actually, it's a little cool, even though it's sunny. And I'm gonna just drape it over my shoulders for now. Sadly, I got to the point, because I had cast this on and frogged various sections of it numerous times before I ended up settling on this combination. And sadly, by the end, I just wanted to be done. Wasn't enjoying the project. I just wanted it done. And you know, knitting's supposed to be fun, and I don't like it when a project gets to that stage. But for me, in the end, it was just about cranking it out, and honestly, in my mind, I never wanted to see it again. So I'm very happy that in the end, once it was washed, blocked, and drying, and I would poke my head in the room every so often and just take another look at it, and the more I did that, the more I've come to really like it. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with this shawl. I had originally intended it as a gift for my mom. I'm not sure these are her colors, so right now it's just on hold. I will decide what to do with it, but I am glad that I no longer hate it. And I can't emphasize enough, it has nothing to do with the pattern. It just had to do with my struggles with it. Did I say it's the Rock Pooling Shawl by Helen Stewart, and it is I think the second shawl in her Shawl Society 4 collection. And on that note, I will show you shawl number 3 that I am almost finished. So shawl number 3, I don't have the pattern with me. Shawl number 3 is a, not quite a rectangle. It's like a rectangle with 2 ends that go diagonally. And I am knitting it out of this Indigo Moon 100% Blue Face Leicester fingering weight yarn, and it's the Midnight Song colorway. And it's just a very plain, I mean, it's a little bit tonal, but not much, just a plain navy yarn. And I've been trying to get done in time for some holidays next month, because it will go with a number of the dresses that I'm taking with me, and I needed a wrap. And so I worked out, I think it was last week, that if I divided it into sections of 12 rows, which this one lace section is multiples of 12 that I had, I think, 14 days left to work on it. But actually, I think I'm almost done. So I'll show it to you and then I'll tell you what I mean. So as if you've been watching, you've seen before, let's see, I'm always struggling to get the best look. There you go. So you can see that there's a section of kind of chevrons or zigzags, and then it's alternated with this section of diagonal eyelets. And that just repeats all the way down the shawl. So it's been getting, you know, longer and longer and longer, which as these things do, and that's a good thing. There you can see that diagonal end there. And I got to thinking that maybe it was getting to be long enough, even though according to the pattern I have one more of these zigzag sections and one more eyelet section to do. So I started kind of laying it out, measuring it, and looking at a couple of different shawls that I like the size of, and including, and this one actually worked really well. I'm just going to take this off now and pull up my, oh, I knew this was going to happen. Time Trades. I had the name in my head. The whole time I was knitting this shawl, I would forget what it was called, and I remembered this morning, and I was so happy about it, and I just about forgot again. Time Trades. Andrea Mowry, I think, or was it Caitlin Hunter? I think it was Caitlin Hunter. I will put it right there. And it's a very similar size shawl. I think it's a little bit narrower, but it has that same diagonal end to it. And so this was a really good pattern to compare it to. So when I put this on and, you know, put it around my shoulders, it comes down, the long edge comes down, well, mid-thigh. I guess you can't really see. I was hoping you could see. Let's see if I can stand up. There, you can see that's a really good length for me. I'm not really tall, and some of my dresses that I'm wearing it with are short, and so this is a great size. And so what I did is I laid this out, and I laid the other one on top of it, kind of stretching as I went, and it's going to end up about the same size. So all I have left to do on my shawl are 10 more rows, and then I get to bind off. So I'm very, very close to finishing my In the Dunes wrap. Another work in progress that I have going on are a pair of plain vanilla socks out of Peyton's Croy socks in the tourmaline stripes colorway. This is a pair I'm knitting for one of the men in my life. I still have not 100% decided who. Looks like this. So I'm doing a top-down sock with a heel flap and gusset. And I'm knitting both of them concurrently on 2 separate needles. So I've come to the same point on each sock. But I've run into 2 problems. First problem, oh, 1 second. Drop the yarn. First problem is that's all the yarn I have left. And it is not enough to finish the sock, sadly. The other problem I have, maybe you can see here, is that. Now, I don't really have, you know, an issue with knots. I understand it's part of the manufacturing process. I also understand that the, I think the industry standard is something like 2 or 3 knots are permissible per skein or per 100 grams or something to that effect. And I'm okay with that. I understand that not every skein is going to be perfect. But to give you perspective, so this is what I have left from the one skein that doesn't have the knot. And this is what I have left in the skein that does have the knot. See the problem? Why on earth, if you have a self-striping or self-patterning yarn, would you join in the new yarn at entirely the wrong place in the patterning sequence? So even if technically I had enough yarn in a skein to finish this man's sock, I wouldn't have a matching pair because this stuff would end up at the end. Just, it's really a pet peeve of mine. So I have gone ahead and ordered a new skein of this yarn, and I will take it apart and select the parts I need to finish the pairs so that they match and so that I have obviously enough to finish the pairs. My husband was kind of, he seemed interested in them. I had intended these to be for either my brother-in-law or my son-in-law for like birthday or Christmas, but I also kind of hesitate to give a pair of socks that has a join so, you know, so far along. It's one thing if you add in a different color heel and you have, you know, a join, but to sort of patch them, I don't know. So these might end up being for my husband after all. He said he did like them, and he did try them on, and they do fit really well. So chances are that's who they're going to be for. But I can't do anything more on them until my new yarn arrives. But that should happen sometime this week. They're usually pretty quick. I ordered it from Yarn Canada. It tends to come quite quickly from there. And then that's it for works in progress. I do have another finished project, and that is under the dabbling in design category. I have finished the second sock. That would be this one for my new sock design. So this was my original sample here, and then my daughter knit them in a ginger colored yarn, and then I've got around, finally last night I cast off the second one in this pair. I had to do a little bit of what's the yarn management, because even though this yarn is a set of sock blanks from Ocean Wind Knits called Sushi Socks, so you get 2 sock blanks that are dyed the same, and even though they're theoretically the same, the transition to green started later in this sock blank than it did in this one. And because I didn't have a lot more of the sock to go, I really did want them to line up better, so I ended up, like I say, doing a little yarn management so that would happen. Let's see, maybe it's better to put them this way. Anyway, so those are done. I still have the second large sample sock to do, and I have someone is test knitting the large size also, and so once all that's done, I get photos, etc., etc., I'll be able to launch this pattern. So watch for that, and I'm hoping in the next few weeks, hopefully before I go away in holidays. That's mid-October, but I might have to wait till I get back. We'll just see. Life, you know, life gets in the way of all sorts of plans. So what I have coming up are another pair of plain vanilla socks. I pulled out a few skeins of yarn, and it'll be a man's pair. I really miss having one, though. I got to that point on those socks a couple of days ago, and I've just been we had about an hour's drive on Sunday, and I had to sit there with no knitting in the car, and it just about drove me crazy. So I'm anxious to get another pair cast on. Again, life getting in the way, didn't get that done. So those will get on the needles pretty soon. And then the other thing is the latest Shawl Society pattern was released this week. It's called Sunset Skies Shawl. So by Helen Stewart. So it's a crescent shaped shawl, and I noticed, I looked a little bit more closely at it today, and don't know if you can tell on that picture, but it looks like it has short rows, and the width of the stripes vary from side to side. I'm just going to see if there is another picture that might show that more clearly. Might get that idea from here too. So I do have a number of gradient yarn sets in my stash. In fact, they are right here. But pardon me, but nothing quite right. And when I went on to Knit Picks to order slipper soles, I saw that they have stroll mini sets, and I ordered, well, okay, confession, I ordered 2 of them with 2 different coordinating yarns, and I'll decide which is going to be, well, I think I've decided which one's going to be the shawl, because it's one that's actually sunset colors and has a reference to sunset in the colorway name. But I also got a set that's like blues and purples. But I think probably for the shawl, I'll do the sunset set, and then the other set will become something else. So once that comes, then I'll be able to get going on this. And in the meantime, I will finish my In the Dunes wrap. Oh, I forgot to bring books in here. No big deal. I finally finished the last play in The Mousetrap and Other Plays by Agatha Christie. And I think, as I've said all along, it's been an interesting way to sort of revisit some of her stories, whether they be, I guess all of them, I think, no, not all of them. Most of them were originally novels. I think there were a couple of plays that were just plays, had never been any sort of other writing. And then I think there was a short story, Witness for the Prosecution, was adapted into a play. So it's definitely been interesting to revisit those stories in the form of a play. But I'm kind of happy just to get back to regular old Agatha Christie storytelling. So last night I started the next book on my shelf, which is The Underdog and Other Stories. And I always think it was like short stories. So I opened it before bed last night, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll just read this story before bed. Well, then I was getting a little tired, and then I flipped ahead, and realized just how long this short story was. So put it down. So I really haven't got too far into the first story in that book yet. But it's good to get back to the stories. So my week, I think I told you last week I was starting curling again. So we did that Thursday night. We started off so strong. And then we kind of floundered. I think after first 2 ends or 3 ends, it was 4-0 for us. And then we let them come back. And in the end, let them beat us. But it was a lot closer in the end because we got some to come back to. So, oh well. It was just good to get out there. The air, I always forget in the rink, the air just feels so fresh and clean and cool. Of course, it's on ice. And I was a little nervous. I'm always a little nervous about the first time back on the ice because I hadn't done any practice time at all, so I'm nervous about how I would do, and actually got back into the swing of things pretty quickly. So I actually felt pretty satisfied with my game, especially knowing it was my first game back. So not quite like riding a bike, but kind of. I had an eye appointment also last week. So I'm getting new glasses. I'm kind of excited about that. I've had the ones I have now for I think 3 or 4 years. So it's just felt like, well, not only is it my vision changed just enough that I think I'll appreciate them. I just time for something a little different. So I'm looking forward to that. And this time I got a pair of prescription sunglasses too, because I couldn't get any sort of clips to fit my new glasses. And I really do like the option of, if I go on a long trip, I'll put my contacts in and just put regular sunglasses on. But for little quick trips or when you're out and you don't expect to need sunglasses, it's nice to have the option of putting on some clips. And now in this case, I'll be able to just swap out my regular glasses for my sunglasses. So I think I'll appreciate having them. I've never had them before. On Sunday, well, poured rain here, and it was my husband's work golf tournament that we'd signed up for, as we do every year. And he's in a position of management, so he's not really an option to cancel, even if we don't really want to go. It's just, you know how it is, right? So we went. It's about an hour and 15 minutes by car west of here. And they're kind of tucked in the mountains, so it's always wetter there than it is here too. So the club decided to just let us play 9 holes, which wasn't a bad thing. We played with the owner of the company and one of the salespeople in my husband's territory. And the 3 of us were, pretty well happy with just playing 9 holes. Neither my husband's boss or I golf that often. It's not like our big love. We like it. It's just not, And anyway, this other guy, he was like, they should let us play 18, blah, blah, blah. And then by the end of it, it had kind of stopped raining. And then it started again with a vengeance when we were on the last hole. And he's like, yeah, I'm fine with playing 9 holes now. So it was really cool because we, on one of the holes, we saw a bear run across the fairway right in front of us. And someone else said it went in the creek and swam across to the other side. We missed that part. And then on another hole, we saw 4 deer just right close by. So that was kind of neat. And then normally on an 18-hole tournament, they'll have longest drive for men and women, and then closest to the pin for men and women. So if you don't golf, closest to the pin is on a shorter hole. Whoever gets the ball on the green closest to the hole on their first shot. And they call it KP, or closest to the pin. So because not everybody got to play all those holes, they decided just to hold a draw for those prizes, and I won the KP prize. So it was a pair of tickets to the Vancouver Canucks game tomorrow night. So that's our hockey team here in Vancouver. It's a preseason game, but that's okay. And it's like the company's regular season seats, because the different salespeople and stuff will take customers to games. So so right really close to the ice, just a few rows off the ice, kind of close to center. So it's really good seats. And yeah, kind of a unexpected surprise bonus for attending the tournament this year. So it was all worth it in the end. Let's see what else. This Saturday coming up, we are going to have all our kids and grandkids over for dinner, because we're going to be away on Thanksgiving in a couple of weeks. So we thought we'll have our family dinner early. And so looking forward to that. And then I haven't mentioned Knit Cities coming up the weekend of October 5th and 6th. So my daughter Jessica and I are going to go in on the Saturday, take in the marketplace. So looking forward to that for sure. Last year was the first time either of us had gone. So definitely worth returning to go back and check it all out again. It's just fun to see all the vendors and see some yarns that you maybe only see on TV or on the internet, and get to see and touch them in person. I don't, as of this moment, I don't have any definite plans of what I'm looking for. Last year, one of the things that I bought and specifically had in mind was to buy yarn for this shawl. And so this year I don't have any similar plans, but I'll definitely think about it. And I don't want to go completely blind, because then it's easy to get into trouble. You know what I mean? If you don't have any specific plans, then you might just buy on impulse. And I want to spend a little bit more time thinking about it. So I will have to kind of look through some favorited patterns and see what else I really want to knit. I just realized I didn't write down something good for this week. But you know, I was thinking about this a couple of days ago, and there have just been okay, without giving too much away, because sometimes things are personal and I don't want to share them on the podcast, but 2018, we had a few different things that were causing us some stress. Let's just put it that way. And as of this year, one by one, they've gradually been resolved. And the last of those was resolved favorably last week, since I spoke to you last. And so I guess I would just say something good is, something's going our way, and feel very grateful for that. So I've had a great feeling of gratitude in my heart the last couple of weeks. So I guess I would say my something good is some things good. Leave it at that. So thank you so very much for tuning in again this week. We shouldn't have any trouble getting it edited and up and running by this evening. So be sure, if you are interested in getting a copy of Elsa, to apply that coupon code. And if you want to, come and take part in the knit along in the Ravelry group. Love to see you there. So once again, thanks so much for watching. Thanks. I cannot express how grateful I am for all of your support, especially this last week. So thank you so much. I will see you next week. Take care until then.